Hey, by the way, tonight's game, New York wins that outright.
You know he's on top. Million subs, he never gonna flop. Out of Chicago, where the streets don't sleep. Betting on games, making cash real deep. Crystal ball for sports, he knows the lines. He's a sports aficionado, the money he finds. From football to basketball, he's always on point. Predicting winners never disappoints. He's got that hustle, that Chicago vibe. Making moves on the streets, cash on the side. With E, you know it's always a bet. He's the king of the game, never forget.
Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports show for February 4th. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. Absolutely loaded episode for you today. My boy Dave, all the way out from sunny California. I'm in bitter cold Chicago, freezing my ass off. Really jealous. He's coming on. We're going to talk some Super Bowl props. This show, no horse racing bet from Gino, purely dedicated to, as Keith Jackson used to say, the granddaddy of them all, the Super Bowl. Let's welcome my boy, Mr. Ice Cold, Dave, to the show. Dave, how you doing today, my man?
I love that open. And every time I see you, and especially with the backwards cap, it's Dan Quinn. Every time I watch a Washington game on the sideline, there's Erik. Erik's an NFL coach. That like doppelganger.
Oh, Dan.
Did you ever think of that or no?
No, I've never gotten Dan Quinn before. I've gotten other people.
His hat though every time.
For some reason I get Vince Vaughn a lot. I don't see it, but I get Vince Vaughn a lot.
That's much more flattering than Dan Quinn. But yeah.
Speaking of Dan Quinn, you know, obviously my Lions heartbreak, but the Commanders were kind of a surprise. Looking at the teams that lost in the AFC and NFC championship, we'll start with the Commanders. Do you think they can repeat it? Like, what was your kind of sense of the Commanders?
This was just a sniff for Washington. Yeah, you know, every quarterback needs to get their kind of their nibble at it, and then you go further with that. But I picked against Kansas City and Philly in the entire postseason. I love Baltimore. I love Washington. Even the games prior to that, I didn't like the teams that are in the Super Bowl. So to me, I'm not in love with the Super Bowl as far as Kansas City and Philly, because these are the two teams that have been fading the entire time. And now they're going to shove it down my throat and say, you're going to have to pick a team, which no, with this age of sports betting, you don't have to pick a team. There's 1,000 player props we can bet on without having to pick a side, which is the good thing.
I absolutely love betting player props.
Love it.
You know, talk to you a little bit during the season. We always go back and forth with some player props. And speaking of player props, NAA 86, are you going to go with the under of yards on Mr. Barkley? It's currently, now full transparency, I haven't sent you this one. I did take the under 116.5.
I can see under. I mean, come on, that's how you're going to win the game. If he gets more than 116.5, they're probably going to lose. If he gets 70, 80, 90, they're probably going to win. So they're obviously going to try to make Jalen throw this ball. And I think, and that's not one of my plays. I'm going to give you 3 plays. That's not one of them, but I am leaning under as far as Barkley goes. But he could get 60, 70, 80 in one carry. That's the scary thing about that bet is he's not getting 4 or 5 yards here and there. He's getting 30, 40, 50.
I looked at it. Joe Mixon had 88 yards, and he had the most out of anyone this year against them. 88 yards, the first round of the playoffs. And I mean, no one broke 100 yards against them. So
Wait, so you're saying that the Chiefs, the most they've given up all year long is 88?
88 yards to Joe Mixon the first.
But it's a lot of that have to do with, okay, they're what were they, 15-2? So when you're winning that many games and you're losing, you're not running, right? So
but none of their games are really that tight. I mean,
true. A lot of games were kind of like 3 points, 6 points. Yeah, it's a good point.
You know, when you look at it, they beat the Steelers. Sorry, I know you're a Steeler fan. I'm sorry. They beat the Steelers by 19. I'm looking at their schedule right now.
My problem is they beat the Raiders by
The Raiders
too, and they beat the Broncos by a miracle block. You know, like they won all these games. That's why I kept fading them in the playoffs because I mean they're not this good. They're not this good. But what do? They win.
Yeah,
But we'll see. I don't even know if we're going to talk about the spread, but I would be happy not to. We've talked 18 weeks in a row. You sent me a play. I sent you a play.
Yeah.
Did once we say, hey, I like this team to cover by 9 or 2? No, we always said over this receiver, over this running back. Every time we talked, it was always about a prop.
It was always a player prop.
Every time.
Always a player prop. Dave, any Derby futures?
I'm looking at a few because I was at Oaklawn last weekend, or maybe it was 2 weekends ago now. I lose track of time. But there's a horse that got second in the Southwest Stakes named Sandman. Horrific start. Gray horse was way back, came flying for second. I would keep an eye on him. Bob Baffert obviously has a pretty big contingent as far as maybe like 6 or 7 different horses that have a chance. So it's hard to pinpoint one of him. But I would say Sandman is a horse to keep an eye on for the Derby.
Now, I've never been to Oakland.
Oh, it's fantastic. Hot Springs, Arkansas. Look, they don't have a football team. They don't have a baseball team. They don't have a basketball team. They don't even have a college. I mean, Arkansas is the university is probably 3 hours from Hot Springs. So their whole thing is the racetrack. So they come to Oakland. They love it. There's an awesome casino there that has a resort spa. It's kind of a destination. So it's really a fun spot. It's not easy to get to. You got to fly into Little Rock and drive maybe an hour or so. But once you get there, you're going to love it.
I miss Arlington. I mean, Arlington right down.
Yeah, that's a sad deal.
I miss Arlington. And here is the granddaddy of them all. RG, yo, any idea where Myles Garrett will be traded to?
Probably not Pittsburgh. Yeah, I don't think he likes us too much, but I would love to have him. I mean, hey, if you put up the money, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
You could use him. I know the Lions would love to get him in there.
I looked at it like this. I really feel that if Philly loses, he's going to Philly.
Really?
I think if Philly loses, because with how Hurts's contract is structured, they kind of have a 2-year gap. The Lions, Hutchinson, Gibbs, Laporta.
Can't afford him.
Well, no, all those guys are on their rookie contract still. So they have a 2-year gap where their cap isn't that bad. So, I mean, 2 years a pick to put Garrett and Hutchinson on the front line.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, but still, they don't have a secondary. You know what I mean? Like, the more I think about it, I think he ends up with the Chargers.
That's here in LA.
That's where I think he goes. I think he ends up with the Chargers, kind of a team, you know, on the up, like Super Bowl track, or maybe the Bears. The Bears have a lot of money and a lot of picks. I can see
they have a lot of money that they don't like to spend. Isn't that owner like notoriously cheap as far as like spending?
Awful. And like the reason why I don't know if it's changed, but it used to be where if you want to be a head coach for the Bears, you had to go to Saturday Night Mass with the owners. That's why they never got any of those big time coaches. It was always coordinators that came in there looking for that first job. But I think that kind of changed with Johnson and the new president.
I like the Bears going forward, which is, you know, it's a great division. What's Darnold doing? Do we know what's happening with that?
I have no idea. It's going to be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of dominoes to fall. I think the first domino to fall is, do the Titans make a call and say, hey, can we get JJ McCarthy?
Oh, we're going after him.
Yeah, because I mean, like,
I don't think they want to get rid of him that quick, right? I mean, they drafted him first round.
They drafted him. I wasn't that high on him. Or did the Colts call and say, look, we're giving up on Richardson. Can you give us Darnold, you know, for a third and the fourth? And what do the Raiders do? Because the Raiders really need a quarterback.
They need it. They're going to go after somebody for sure.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I think there's a domino to fall. If I am the Vikings, I would bring back Darnold just because the reality of the situation is McCarthy's had 2 knee injuries, and you don't want to rush that back. You want to.
Was it 1 or 2? Was it 2?
He had 2. He had 1 going into the draft, and then he had another one when he was rehabbing the injury. So he's probably going to miss all of next year too. So I really think they need to keep him and then go with Darnold. I think the interesting one is I liked what I saw from Milton. I mean, granted, it was against the third stringers for the Bills, but he looked like he had a little pop. It's gonna be interesting to see where he goes. But yeah, all these quarterback pieces, I think it's really going to change. Stafford could be traded. Cooper Kupp, you're out in LA.
He's gone. I just saw a report today. Yeah.
He's gone.
He doesn't want to be gone. He's like, I don't agree with this, but they're like, you're going out. So we'll see. I'm Steelers could use him, I'm sure.
You're a Steelers fan. What
Big time.
What should they do at quarterback?
I was a Fields guy all year long. I wasn't really that big on Russell Wilson, but then when Tomlin made the switch, Wilson was getting the job done. So I'm like, wow, I was wrong, but maybe I wasn't wrong. Like maybe Fields was the guy all along. Ultimately, neither of those guys are probably the future of the Steelers. So we'll see if we make a total, clean the slate and go to somebody else going forward. It's gonna be a pretty cool offseason.
How would you feel if they brought in Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think I think it was around like 16 or 17. I was talking to somebody and said, I don't think he's ever going to play again, after this year. But maybe he's still got something left. He just left a bad taste in my mouth of what happened all year long with the Jets and firing the coach. And it just seemed like he had a little too much control of everything. And they obviously had a terrible season. He didn't have a great year. He finished strong, actually. I'm just sour because I had a player prop. I was at the Meadowlands for the Hambletonian, which is like August 5th or something. I went to the Jets game. They played the Seahawks. I took a fairly conservative total on Rodgers. It was over it's either 200 or 225. It was nothing crazy. And he had nothing. And then every game after that, 300, 260, 250. Come on, man. The one game I need you. I'm in the MetLife Stadium and you were trash. And then all of a sudden, boop, boop, boop. So I'm kind of a hater just because of personal bad gambling experience, but isn't that how we get?
That's always always.
So no, I don't want him on the Steelers because he cost me.
Now let's jump right into it.
Enough about next year.
No, enough about next year. We have the biggest game of the year. We got the Super Bowl. And you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I have the Eagles 15-1. 2 years ago, I had them at 30-1. They broke my heart. This year, I got them at 15-1. Hopefully, they can get it in. Let's jump right into it. We each have 3 prop bets that we're going to be locking in. Your first one, start us off, my friend.
So my friend Josh has them at 17-1. I'm going to be heading to Vegas for a Super Bowl party. So I don't know where you're going to be watching the game, but I'll be in Vegas and I'm going to be sniffing out some of these props, but we're going to start with Patrick Mahomes. So if you look at here's some trivia for you. Okay. In the history of the Super Bowl, what quarterback has the most rushing yards all time? I'm talking Elway, Staubach, Steve Young, just throw a name out there.
In a game or
no, overall, just like Tom Brady played in what we know he didn't rush a lot, but you would think he'd get a few yards.
Steve Young.
Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
So Patrick Mahomes, and it's not even close. He's played in 4 Super Bowls, 172 yards rushing. When the lights come on, he might pass here and there. He wants to dart out of there. He wants to run the ball. He puts his team on his back and he carries them with the rush. So 28.5. So 4 Super Bowls, he has rushed for 172 yards. Joe Montana is second, by the way, with 102. Nobody else has had more than 100 in the history of the Super Bowl. So we don't think of Patrick Mahomes as a running quarterback. I don't anyways. I think he's a great passer. But when the Super Bowl comes, he likes to run. Here, look at all these notes I made. I wasn't even going to do this much research for you, Eric. But
there you go.
So 4 Super Bowls. The first Super Bowl he was in, 29 yards. What's the total? 20.5, right?
Yep, 28.
The first Super Bowl, he got that, 29. The next Super Bowl, 33. The next Super Bowl, 44. Last year, 66. So each year, as he's been getting more into the Super Bowl, he's been running more and more and more. I think 28.5 is an absolute slam dunk. He might get that in one carry. There's another bet on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Longest rush for Patrick Mahomes is 13.5. Last year, he got one for 22. 2 years ago, he got one for 26. Here's the deal. You're always looking for him to throw, but there's that gap. He just finds it, and all of a sudden, boom, he sneaks away for 20, 25 yards. So I think he's going to get that big run, which is going to help him end up with more than the 28.5. So that's my number one play is Mahomes over 28.5 rushing yards.
Let's make some money. I love this bet with the pass rush of the Eagles. He'll have to run for his life. Yeah,
exactly. We want him to get rushed because that's when he's going to get it. They don't do design. Like Jalen's going to get design runs where he's going to get his yards. That's never happening for Mahomes, but he gets it when he gets flushed out. And if the Eagles pressure him, you can only guard so many receivers plus Kelsey to leave open a wide open field, and then boom. Hopefully we can get this bet on one carry.
Those are always the best ones to get. How many did he have against the Eagles 2 years ago? I think you said
44. And he had a 26-yard carry on one rush.
Those are always the best ones when you get it right.
Yeah,
away.
Exactly.
And
by the way, he has rushed for 13 first downs. So let's say it's like 3rd and 8. He's scrambling. You know, he's always looking for those chains. How many times have we seen him end the late hits? The refs are going to call the late hit, but that's a whole other point.
Yeah.
But he always is looking for the chain. So if it's 3rd and 8, he might get 9. But let's just say that's my number one play.
Now let me ask you this. You said about the late flags and everything. We are seeing Goodell come out and say, hey, we're not conspiracy. We're not doing stuff, whatever. The NFL officials are tweeting stuff out saying it's ludicrous that we're helping the Chiefs. We see people at Media Day asking Kelsey and Mahomes about
that was weird.
Yeah. But do you feel that those calls that we have seen we're not going to see? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like those 50-50 calls Mahomes gets now with everything being on the spotlight of this, do you feel the refs?
No. I don't think that anything changes here. Like it's we're all human beings, right? Like everything's like bang bang. You're halfway out, you're halfway in, you're on the line. Is a late hit? Is not a late hit? Like no matter what, we're saying like okay, call it a little tighter. This everything is still like so split second where it is what it is. And I would hate to be an NFL ref. I would hate to be a horse racing steward having to make those decisions on, you know, these things that are so borderline. So that has nothing to do with anything that I'm betting here is the officiating.
My old man always says how you view the officials is how you bet the game.
Okay, explain that a little further.
So case in point, Josh Allen's first down. If you bet on the Chiefs, it wasn't a first down. If you bet on the Bills, it wasn't.
Oh, right. You're going to be, it's a great call. It was a terrible call.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how he sees it. I'm looking at it right now. Mahomes had 7 rushing attempts against the Texans. So, I mean, he is running the ball a little bit more.
In the playoffs and the Super Bowl, he definitely runs more than he does in the regular season. That's indisputable.
My first bet, still on the same side of the ball. I'm taking Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown at plus 140. He has played in 6 playoff games and has scored a touchdown in every single game. He leads the Chiefs in carries, rushing yards, rushing touchdown, yards per attempt.
But he's not even their number one back, is he?
Well, he's kind of taken over because Pacheco came back from a fractured, fibula from week 2, and he just doesn't look as explosive. So granted, it's admirable he's come back this soon, but he just doesn't have that burst of speed. Now, Hunt was signed from this couch. He wasn't in shape. He's been getting in shape. He looks more explosive. Now, Hunt for the year has a 44% carry share not for the year, in the playoffs. He leads the Chiefs in red zone carries this
huge
postseason. During the regular season, led him in red zone carries, 15th most in the NFL, and red zone touchdowns. Top the Chiefs in carries inside the 5-yard line during the season, 9th most in the league. And Pacheco's just banged up. He's just not what he was coming into the season. Hunt's got more juice. He's got more explosiveness. He is rushing the ball more than him. He has a 44% carry share. Pacheco is third on the team in carries for the playoffs behind Mahomes. This is the Kareem Hunt backfield. I'm going to take Hunt here. I mean, every game he scored a touchdown, I'm getting plus 140. All the sense in the world. Give me Kareem Hunt plus 140 anytime.
Let's go.
So I absolutely love that. Now, this next one, and I'm not going to lie, I've looked hard at this guy too for a bet.
And would you agree that that this would be one, or are you not really saying that this is a
Well, I love this one. I love
you
this
do. Okay.
Because like I'll tell you why after you say why you like him.
Okay. And it might be an agreement. And as we said earlier, when we've been going back and forth between the year, give me a spread bet. No, give me a player prop. At one point, I don't know what week it was, but you said Juju something, and it was small too. It was like 22 yards or something. He got 100. Like, you loved this guy earlier, but that didn't sway on my opinion. This is all about a little bit of research. First of all, a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl, Juju had 53 yards. This is 50 yards to get plus 670. But is this game played outdoors in the cold weather? No. This is in the Dome. This is in New Orleans. I looked up some stats. So I went and looked up the game logs for what he does outside in his whole year. It's been Kansas City and Pittsburgh. So all we know is the house is burning down. No, it's not. But don't worry about the fire alarm.
I thought that was my fire alarm.
No, it's me. Like... I don't know what it is. So we'll live. If I have to run out of the door, I will. But here's my research. So on a outdoor field, Juju is averaging 48 yards a game, average yards per reception 11. In a dome, and it's there are not a lot of domes out there anymore, right? So there aren't that many. It's a small sample size. 85 yards a game and 17.1 yards per reception. 85, the total for plus 670 is only 50 yards, and he already got 50 yards in his prior Super Bowl. If you're Patrick Mahomes, do you want to go to Hollywood Brown, who's been spotty, Xavier Worthy, who's a rookie, or do you want to go to the guy that got you a great game the last time you hooked up with him? I think he's going back to the well, and he's saying, Juju, get me a down the field pass where I can hit you for 40 yards. If he gets one 35-yard reception, all we need is 15 more yards to cash this bet. Plus 670 seems steep. I mean, that's a pretty big odds. And you could go further than that, Eric. You could go 60, 70. I don't remember what the max was. I doubt you can get 100 yards, but I think he's going to have a big game. I
mean, the 9 targets is what sticks out to me from the last Super Bowl. He looks for them. So I like that angle. The other angle I liked was when he played for them not this year because he came in a little late, but when he played for Mahomes, he was in the Rashee Rice role. He was 5th in yards after the catch during that 2023 season. So he's going to look for him. And the other thing is, let's kind of play devil's advocate. Let's look at the Chiefs' weapons. Number one, you got to stop Kelsey. I mean, so obviously Slay, Dijon, or whatever, how you pronounce his name. One of those two is probably going to be on Kelsey. Mitchell's going to be on Worthy. Blankenship got lit up with Zach Ertz. What was it?
Yeah. And if you look at the Eagles, like what they give up to the secondary kind of back, they all do well over the last 3 or 4 games. They might stop the main guy, but they're not stopping the second main guy.
And if it's Blankenship, I mean, I think this is a great bet. I've been looking hard at Juju Smith-Schuster. I think this is enough for me to kind of pull the trigger, just because, even if it's Gardner Johnson guarding him. I just think he's going to get that favorable matchup because they're not going to look to stop him. You know what I mean? They don't want to beat by Kelsey. They don't want to get beat by Worthy, Hollywood Brown on the outside. So he's going to be the fourth wide receiver. He's going to have the most favorable matchup. And we've kind of seen DeAndre Hopkins has kind of been pushed off to the side.
He hasn't really done much. I mean, he could step up and have a big game because he's a big-time receiver. But, I mean, plus 670 just seems like huge to me. You could take it down. You could take it down to the regular total, which I don't remember what it was. It would have been
like 15.
30 yards. Yeah, less than 30, 15, right. But you and I like to ladder, right? We could go up, play it all the way as high as we can get it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I love to ladder. My next one. Now, I think there's a dark horse to win the MVP. I got this one at FanDuel.
I don't know what you're doing here, but isn't like the MVP almost always the quarterback?
But you know what? You got to think outside the box.
Okay, talk to me.
I did Devontae Smith 66-1 MVP. Now, here's my thought process. Spags, one of the best DCs there is. Number one priority, we're going to take away Saquon. Number two priority, we're going to take away Hurts is running the ball. Number three, A.J. Brown. Leaves a pretty favorable matchup for Devontae Smith.
Okay.
Who ranks second on the team in the playoffs in receiving yards, receptions, third in targets. For the season, first in receptions, second in yards, second in targets. Now, when we break it down and see what he's done against the Spags defense, he's played it 3 times. In those 3 games, he's averaged 9 targets a game, 7 receptions, 107 yards per game. Super Bowl 2 years ago, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 100 yards. Now, A.J. Brown is coming off a huge game in the NFC Championship game. Obviously, you're going to roll production to him. And Dallas Goedert, these 3 games in the playoffs, has been one of their best wide receivers. So
this is 66-1?
66.
Okay, here is the caveat to what I said. So I said it's almost always a receiver, but in the last X amount of years, the 2 times that I said it was always a quarterback, but the 2 times that it wasn't a quarterback, Cooper Kupp MVP, Edelman MVP.
Yep.
So it would be a receiver. I know a lot of people are probably going to say, well, it's Barkley. He's going to get 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Okay, yes. If Barkley has that big game and the Eagles win, he could certainly be the MVP. But I mean, it's 66-1.
It's worth a pizza bet.
That's worth
pizza
$50
money
to make $3,000. Come on.
And if he has, so you mentioned normally a quarterback. If Hurts throws for 230, but Smith has 100 to 115 of those yards and 2 touchdowns.
Even 1. Yeah. Well, he probably would need 2. Yeah.
I think it's going to go to him. And I don't know what it is about Jalen Hurts. For whatever reason, it seems to me people in the media don't like him. And this is a media-based award. So maybe that could lead some people to Devontae Smith. And I'm just going to say it. I don't know why the Jalen Hurts story isn't told more. Winningest quarterback in the history of Texas football, which is absolutely insane. Saban didn't want him. Lane Kiffin talked him in. He's like, dude, you got to get this guy in here. This kid is nothing but a winner. Leads them to the national championship game as a freshman. They lose to Houston. He gets benched for Tua. Tua makes 1 good throw, and everyone thinks Tua was bad. It was 1 throw where the DB fell, and everyone thinks Tua is this guy. Tua got hurt the year later in the SEC championship game. Hurts comes in, leads them to that game, to the national title, and the following year takes them to the national semifinal with Oklahoma. And since he's been named a starter in the NFL, has won 70% of his games. wild card Super Bowl, wild card Super Bowl. All this kid does is win. And like, I don't know. He's just not, I don't know why he isn't looked at more positive during the league.
All right, let's just go over the FanDuel odds real quick for Super Bowl MVP. Mahomes plus 110, Barkley plus 280, which is shocking that Barkley would actually be less than Hurts, but he's been awesome all year. Hurts is plus 350, Kelsey plus 1800, Xavier Worthy plus 3100, and then it goes. So AJ Brown is stacked above. AJ Brown is plus 3300, and then Devonta Smith, and then everybody else: Hollywood Brown, Kareem Hunt, Chris Jones. Could it be finally a defensive player? It's happened before, but it's been a little while. But I'm going to say I would piggyback you on that bet.
It's just a small bet. You know what I mean? It's one of those ones, just throw it in there. You know, it doesn't have
$10 to make 3,000, right? Or what did it be? No, $10 to make 600. Yeah.
You know, throw 20, like
$50 to make 3,000.
$25 for a pizza, throw that in there, you know, 1,700. It's low risk, high reward. And that's what you're trying
You know the Bitcoin story about a guy who bought a pizza with Bitcoin? It ended up being like $18 million or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just Google it. Say like Bitcoin pizza. It was not a good decision.
Speaking of Jalen Hurts, your next bet is with Mr. Hurts.
Okay. And we're both a fan, even though you said the media is not. So there is a bet on the FanDuel Sportsbook. I forget where to find it. I could find it, but you basically are looking for the first drive. You're going to say what the Chiefs are going to do on their first drive. There's like options for field goal, touchdown, safety, whatever. And then there's what the players might do on their first drive. So what I'm saying about the Philadelphia Eagles is, and this is not the first score of the game, like the Chiefs could get the ball first and they do whatever they're going to do. This is the Eagles' first drive, okay? I'm going to say they're going to score because there have been 3 playoff games so far. They have scored a touchdown on all 3 drives on their first drive. In their first game against Green Bay, they scored a minute and 40 seconds into the game. Boom, he had Dotson for a touchdown. Second game against the Rams, 2 minutes and 56 seconds in, Jalen Hurts ran one in for 40 yards, which I think he's going to do here. And then against Washington, Saquon Barkley, first play of the drive, busted one for like 60 yards. So they're known to score on their first drive. And we all know about the tush push, right? Let's just say they get down to the 1 yard line. They're not giving it to Barkley. This is all about Hurts. And just to go back to the previous Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs, opening drive for the Eagles, Hurts scored. So this is kind of like, as a horse player, looking at the past performances, like, let's look at things that have happened before. It's already happened. He's done this, and he's plus 1,100. You know, it could happen where they get down into the red zone, and he doesn't score, and he passes it or he hands it off, and it doesn't happen. But I truly think that they are going to score a touchdown in the first drive. And I think at 11-1 to say it's going to be Hurts is a great bet.
Tush push is huge. We've seen it before, like
massive
3 plays in a row for a tush push, which I absolutely love this bet. Here we go. Any long shot, anytime TD bets?
Yeah, I got one.
All right.
So I just said on the first drive against the Packers, it was Dotson. Is he 15-1 or 21-1? He's at least 15-1 to be the first score. He's on the field a lot. Like you mentioned Smith, you mentioned AJ Brown, but he's out there running routes, right? He's not impossible for a first touchdown score.
14-1 for an
he's 14-1 to score anytime. I don't know what he is for the first. He might be 100-1.
All right, here we go. Let me see.
Or 60 probably.
Let me see first.
I would take him as an anytime scorer, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Long shot. My long shot would be
Noah Gray?
He doesn't seem to be playing that much though.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't. He seems to be out there just not doing much.
His name was just on my mind to do something because Kelsey's going to be, all the attention on him. You just go to the other tight end.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes.
I mean, Philly's D is plus 650.
I was going to talk defense because that's anytime. That's not first. Because either you could bet Chiefs and they're both about plus 7. I think one was plus 650, one was plus 7, somewhere in there. You can bet them both and hope that one scores and you're getting about 3.5 to 1. I could definitely see a defensive touchdown in this game. What about Gainwell?
Gainwell is
he banged up or is he back? Because he kind of got a little bit tweaked in the last game.
Gainwell and Shipley are both 12 to 1.
It's weird that Shipley would be the same because that was just I think he was he was in as a fluke because Gainwell was out. I don't think Shipley can score twice in a row, but
first
I would lean more Gainwell.
Where is Dotson? Oh my God, he looks like he is 65 to 1 on FanDuel
for the first touchdown score.
First touchdown score.
Okay.
And your boy
$10 to make $650. I'll put that on there.
Your boy Juju is 30 to 1.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he has to score a touchdown, but I do like his yards.
The bets I'm interested in, these are always kind of fun. These are let me do my one more bet, and then I have a couple fun ones that I will mention. So I did Jalen Carter over half a sack plus 126. And I also put a small amount on him over 1.5 sacks at plus 850. Chiefs allowed 41 sacks during the regular season, 2 to the Texans, 3 to the Bills during the playoffs. Eagles are ranked as the best pass rush in the league per PFF. Chiefs' interior offensive line is the weakness. Caliendo PFF pass blocking grade of 43.6, which is a huge liability. And then you have Smith, whose PFF blocking grade is 67. Jalen Carter's PFF pass rushing grade is 84.9, 15th highest in the league. He had 51 hurries this year, 5th most in the league.
Damn.
That's such a huge favorable matchup against those two. And I'm flashing back. I don't know if you remember this play in the AFC Championship game. Jordan Phillips just completely bull rushed through that line and just threw Mahomes to the ground.
I don't remember it, but I hope it does it again for your sake.
I'm thinking if Phillips can do that, Carter can do it. Over half a sack plus 126. And with 850, 8.5 to 1 to record.
No, that's a big number.
I mean, that is an absolutely huge number. I absolutely love this. Let me throw out some random.
Yeah, give us one more play. I'll be right back, Eric. Keep talking. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Another bet that I kind of like is, will a team go for 2? We can get this one at plus 230 and successful 2-point conversion. We have seen this one with the Eagles before. We know what the Eagles like to do here. They always like to go for 2. Even if there is a penalty on the opening kickoff, I can really see that 2-point. Will there be one? It's even money either way. So I like that bet. Will there be a successful one? You can get that at plus money. Another one that I like is, will there be a score in the final 2 minutes of the game? If you want to be ballsy, you think it's going to be a low-scoring game, plus 430 for there to be no score.
For the conversion, was that specific to the Eagles or was that either team?
Either team. Either team.
Okay.
Either team.
You know, with analytics these days, the first team that scores, maybe they want to go up 8-0 instead of 7-0. It's crazy what these coaches are doing nowadays. But Andy Reid doesn't seem like that type of guy, but who knows?
But I mean, we've seen it with Sirianni before, like when they get.
I mean, you're leaning more Eagles, I think.
Yeah, I'm leaning more Eagles to kind of go for it. Obviously, when we look at the the Saquon Barkley. I was wishing we could get Saquon Barkley at like an under 80. You know what I mean? Instead of like doing
everything's always
doing the reverse,
you can ladder
doing
up,
the
but you
reverse
can't ladder down.
Yeah, doing the reverse ladder. But I'm looking at FanDuel right now, and they're not offering it.
I don't see it either.
So that would be something I would look at in terms of the game props. Largest lead of the game. And that's 14.5. Total successful. Successful fourth down conversion. God,
that's got to be minus, right?
Yes is minus 2,000. No is plus.
Wait, yes is minus 2,000
for a successful one from either.
You know, the tush push is happening. What about? Let me see if we can find this on the fly. Is there a longest touchdown score over under 35 yards, 40 yards, whatever? Because I think there's going to be a big either. Saquon can bust one for 50. Hurts can bust one for 50. Hopefully, for my sake, Juju can bust one for 50. For your sake, Devonta Smith can bust one for 50. Like, is there a what is the largest margin of a touchdown as far as yards? Longest touchdown scored.
Longest touchdown scored over under 34.5.
Let's go. Come on.
You like the over on that?
Are you telling me of all the touchdowns, there's not going to be a 35-yard score? Absolutely, there will be.
The thing is that includes return yards.
Oh, like a punt return, kickoff return, any sort of
they kick
or
it off
interception return, right? Fumble scoop.
That obvious. God, the person I kind of want to fade is Jake Elliott under 1.5 field goals, plus 130.
I looked up. I was trying to get like a good feel for what Andy Reid does as far as like wanting to go forward or kick field goals. And he seems, and this is talking about Chiefs, this is not talking about the Eagles, but Reid seems like he is a little bit more conservative where he's fine to take field goals early and not really go for the big score until the second half. So is there a combined one? Is there like total field goals 3.5, something like that on both sides? Because there might be, so much on the line. You just don't want to gamble too much. If you're within field goal range, 40-yard or so, just kick it. So I think there could be field goals in this game.
I've been playing around with it. Which one entices you more? I found it on FanDuel. You go to FanDuel. There's a little thing when you scroll across called FanDuel Your Way.
You can move it back and forth. Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, 85 or more yards.
Oh, for your rushing. I thought we were still talking field goals here. Okay, so you can move it down to 85.
For no.
What is it?
Plus 204 for no.
Is that enough for you, or you were expecting more?
I was expecting a little bit more.
Yeah, I figured you'd be expecting more.
I was expecting a little bit more. The one I really...
Is it 84? Would you say 84 or 80?
Just what I have it on. I had it on...
As far as the yards go.
85, right on that.
85.
85.
Man, it would be hard for him not to get 85. But what if the Chiefs jump out to this big lead and then all of a sudden they don't want to run anymore? But even if the Chiefs are in front, they're not going to just abandon Saquon. So I don't think that's enough of a price to take the under 85 myself.
I was wishing you could get one for him not to score a touchdown.
But what is he to score a touchdown? Minus 190?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
190? Yeah.
So it'd be plus money for him not to score a touchdown. That would be some of the touchdown specials. Don't like any of those. Don't like alt spread.
Let's do an impromptu same game parlay.
Okay. All right, let's do that and close out the show.
Can you key it in for the odds for us?
I can key it in. Let's each do 2 legs.
Okay, so go to alt. Give me Juju alt 50 at the plus 670.
All right, hold on. I gotta find.
So it's going to be alt receiving yards.
Receiving props. Boom.
This is gonna juice up massively.
No, that's not first player.
No, just regular receiving props. Let's see.
More wages. Boom.
You can even click on same game parlay and then take it from there. But
all right, here we go. Juju Smith. Okay, boom. Over 50 plus 670.
Yep. Do that one for me. Okay, you do one now.
I will do
it doesn't have to be one that you gave. It could be something like sneaky different.
all right, I will do. Where's the first half stuff here? Quarters.
Sometimes it'll let you like mix weird things, but see if it does. And I know what my second one's going to be.
I will do Jalen Carter sack plus 118.
I think it would let you do that.
Yeah.
Does it stay in the upper right? It's okay. It's like plus,
Yep.
Should be plus 1,200 now or something.
Yeah, we got plus 1297.
Okay, so go to Mahomes rushing over 28.5. That'll be my second one.
Rushing props. Mahomes over 28.5.
Yep. Oh, actually, do they have alt? Because the last 2 years he said do they have alt 40?
Yep, plus 195.
Do alt 40.
Okay.
We're no wimps.
And then I will do receiving yards. I'll go to Devontae Smith.
Yeah, you have to.
And I will say alt. I'll do alt 70 plus.
What's his normal? About 53?
49.5.
49. Okay. Yeah, do 70. Did you do 70 or 75?
70. So
this is going to be massive.
This is
It's going to be 100 to 1.
It is plus, what are we at? Plus 12. Jesus.
20 to 1.
12,397. Yeah. Put $10 on it, you get 1,200 back.
1,200.
Boom.
Let's go.
I'm gonna put this one in right now, my man.
$25 to get you back. I'm just ballparking around $3,000.
Yep.
That's a pizza. That's pizza money.
Pizza money. I mean, and these same games parlays are fun. You know, I do them and I'll do them in games like this. You know, boom. I put it in for a pizza. There we go. You know what? And if this hits, I will Venmo you money.
No, send me the beer. You owe me a 6-pack still from last year.
Do I owe you a 6-pack?
Maybe not. I think I lost it back to you somewhere along the line.
Do I owe you a 6-pack? I probably do, man. I probably do. Dave, I appreciate you. You know, we've bonded over the last couple of years. You know, consider you a friend. Appreciate you coming on, taking time off. Why don't you tell everyone when you will be on FanDuel TV next and where they can find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter or X at Ice Cold Exacta. I won't be on this weekend because I'll be in Las Vegas with my lovely wife celebrating the Super Bowl at a party and hopefully cashing all these tickets. I'll be on, let's see, it will be Thursday and Friday mornings, 9 o'clock Pacific time, FanDuel TV, DirecTV channel 602, and we're on almost all the cables. You can download us on the FanDuel TV Plus app. We got Kay Adams doing the Radio Row show right now during the Super Bowl. So fun times.
How do you feel about Super Bowl parties? Like, I'll be honest, like I've been to a couple and I just like, for me, I like to have my pizza, my beer, you know.
But were your parties at friends' houses or were they in like huge, like Mandalay Bay ballroom, you know?
Well, I'm not big time like you. For me, it's
like
just...
I've been to Super Bowl parties that Charles Barkley was at the Mandalay Bay.
Wow.
This one, I'm not going to be at that. I'm going to be in a little more smaller casino, but it's great. It's like they got all the spread over here. You can get, different types of food, big screen TVs. It's certainly fun, but I know what you're saying. I would just rather be on my couch in my own comfort zone and watching it. But this one I think is going to be a little bit special.
I hope so. Hopefully the Eagles can get it done. Good luck in all your bets. I'm sure we'll be texting throughout the weekend. Then, hey.
Hold on a second. You have 15-1, right?
For what one?
For the Eagles?
15-1, correct.
Did you bet that before the season started?
I bet that like in August, September, or something. August, July, whenever I did the preview show for the East, I put that bad boy in.
My friend Josh got the Eagles, and he's a big Philly guy. He's an Eagles fan. He got them at 17-1. So I'm not one-upping you, but I'm just saying hello to him, because he said if he cashes that ticket, he might fly out to Vegas, and then we can celebrate on Sunday night together.
Hey, you know what? If he wins, I win. As long as
you're happy.
As long as I win, I am fine with it. I am absolutely fine with it. So, Dave, safe travels to Vegas. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. After we sign off,
promise that.
After we sign off, I have the ultimate Las Vegas story I'm going to tell you, but I have to tell you that off the air, my man.
Tell it to everybody. Come on. It's just you and me here.
No. NDAs were signed. So, Dave, thanks for coming on, and we will talk soon, my friend.
Love you, man.